All right, welcome. Great to see you all here today. Here I'm with Jared Falk from Musora. Some of his brands are Drumeo, Pianote, and Guitario.
That's right.
Excellent. Jared, can we just start off, just tell me a little bit about yourself, maybe your background in music and you as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So entrepreneur first, because in grade 8, I quit working on my dad's construction company, and that's when I started selling hockey cards online. I started doing trading, and my dad said if I earn enough money, more money doing that than working construction, then I can quit construction.
Like on eBay, or what were you selling?
It was on like news groups. eBay didn't exist back then.
News groups.
Yeah, I don't even know other than that, like what it was called, but it was this weird form of like the early days of the internet where we would chat online.
Yeah.
And there's these forums essentially, and you'd go and post a card that I had or something, and I'd trade one and I'd sell the other one and make the spread. Yeah. So then when I was 15, I started playing drums, and that's when I was like instantly hooked on music, but really no interest in music before then.
Yeah.
And then when I was like a year and a half later, I started teaching, because I played a lot in church and stuff, and so then I got requests for students, and so I started teaching, and then after high school I went on tour for 4 months, a 4-month straight tour, which if anyone's done anything for 4 months straight, you know it's a really long time. And so I realized I don't like touring.
Fleabag motels and
yes. Yeah, just like driving 20 hours and showing up at the gig and there's one person there. It's not all glamour. There's there's the bottom and then there's the top, but there's not much in the middle.
Right.
And so then I quit tour and I came back and I started teaching, and that's where I met my business partner, who was uploading videos and kind of experimenting. He's pretty ahead of his time. A guy named Rick Kettner. He dropped out of school when he was 15. Wow. Went and worked for a Palm Pilot company in Texas, and then moved back. And then I was trying to get more students, so he was a student of the last teacher, and so I kept calling him. You know, the money's in the follow-up, right? Yeah. So I kept calling him, trying to get him to be my student. And so then he finally came, and we instantly connected. And then through the years, like he lived in a basement suite in one of my houses, then I lived upstairs. And that's how we built the business. We started it that way. I would go to my sales job. I worked at a duck farm, and then I would go and teach in the afternoon. Then I'd come home and I'd work on what was Drumeo back then. It started off just as a forum. And then over the years, we just slowly kind of grew it and figured out where the market's going, what works, what doesn't. Almost went bankrupt many times, and here we are today.
I mean, what kind of success would you be if you haven't almost gone bankrupt many times, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. So how long has Drumeo, as we know it today, been around?
Yeah, so that's been around since 2011 is when we started it. And we had a bunch of different websites. Like I've talked about the SEO strategy we did in the early days, and like pay-per-click advertising as, you know, attention changes and stuff like that, and new products and tools are released online. But for us, we were working on SEO, and that means we had all of our content spread out. So on different domains like drummerlessons.com, drumminglessons.com, howtoplaydrums.com, learn to play drums, all these things. Right. And we're like, what is our brand? Yeah. There wasn't a lot of things to latch onto. And so that's when we said we want to kind of bring everything under one roof, which is a bit of a risk, because I mean, it's just from an SEO standpoint, it was a risk. But we did that in 2011, and now it's been the right move for sure.
And you've expanded beyond Drumeo to some other instruments, and how has that gone for you?
Yeah, we tried that in 2008, and we spread ourselves too thin. And so then we gave up. We kind of went back, rebuilt the drum stuff, kind of got our ducks in a row there. And then we restarted it again, I'd say like 3 years ago, in piano and guitar. And guitar, we're having our struggles right now. Yeah. The business is not doing, like our sales are way down. And because our focus is not there. Yeah. But in piano, we decided to really heavily focus there. And we found like the most important thing in this type of business is the leader of that business, like the brand leader, and that's we have someone named Lisa Witt in piano, and she's just done a great job, and so she's kind of transformed that brand, and so it's doing really, really well, and Drumeo is doing good as well.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. And so when we talk about you as Jared Falk, you know, you've got a pretty substantial following on Instagram, you've got a good following on Facebook. how has your personal online profile grown with your brands?
In the early days, actually, my personal channels were always bigger than the brand channels.
Interesting.
Because in the early days, we didn't really have anyone doing social media. So there was no one driving that other than me who was putting out, I would just like distribute the content.
Yeah.
But over the years now we have like support, we have a much bigger marketing team and they're driving those initiatives forward. I don't have a lot to do on the day-to-day with that social media in those brands. It's more on the strategy side. What topics are we choosing? You know, it's got to be different when you're bringing in a team and when you're, you know, it's someone's job now.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're me posting on Drumeo's channel. It's very different. They're just, we have a great drummer doing it, but it's just not the same as the founder running the channel. So that's why I stay off of those and I let them do it, but I still work on my own channels.
So when I see a video of you playing drums on your personal channel, have you filmed it, cut it, or are you getting your team at Drumeo to do that?
On my personal page, they will help me with, I don't even know, Taylor's in there, maybe he would know, but probably like half of the videos that go up there are ones that I film here and then they cut. Yeah. And then half of them are ones that like I'm just at home practicing and I flick on the camera. Yeah. And I have a system to record really, really simply at home. Yeah. I'm not good at the production stuff. Right. You know, so that's like, I'm very thankful for my team that does all like the cool graphics and things like that.
And so last night you posted, or maybe this weekend you posted a video you playing like a funk tune. Yeah. And you kind of working through that. And then I also see you post in your personal channel like your kids or your family or something like that. So how do you find the balance of what people want to see between you as a drummer and an entrepreneur and you as like a guy who lives in the Fraser Valley doing your farm life or whatever you do?
Yeah, right. Because it's kind of, for me, I'm like, is this boring? Why does anyone want to see this? Yeah. But then sometimes like the pictures of me like when I was really young going on tour, like very personal stuff, like or in high school, or they do really, really well.
Interesting.
And so I look at that, I'm like, okay, well, why is that? And I think it's because I've been doing this so long that so many people feel like they're part of the story. Right. And they're able to see the progression. You know, I'm getting older now. Yeah. In front of the internet. Like when I started, you know, I was more like you, like a young baby face. Right? so
that's brilliant.
So now it's like I'm growing up online. But when I started, I didn't have kids. I wasn't married. Yeah. You know, things have changed, and so I think that's why some of that is good. It can't be too much. I would say like of my posts, I probably do 10 to 20% of personal stuff. Yeah. And if the personal stuff does come out more, it's usually in the form of like stories, which is, you know, 24 hours and then it's gone. Yeah. It's not living in the feed, or I don't put it on our YouTube channel or anything like that. Yeah.
So do you have for your personal profile on Instagram or Facebook, do you have a strategy that you think through? Or are you just kind of like, you know what, I feel like making a drum video today. Oh, my kids are doing something cool, let's do that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. And I've been trying to formalize a strategy or like some sort of social calendar. Yeah. Because if I look at the way we do it in Drumeo, the piano, it's formalized. Right. It's like if you have a plan, if you have a calendar, then you'll actually get it done. Yeah. For me, it's like more of a I use it more as a creative outlet. If I have an idea and I want to like, oh, I think this will work good on Drumeo, but I don't want to send it out to 600 or 700,000 people. I want to put it on, I want to experiment on, that sounds bad, but I want to experiment on my page, which I think is fun because I get to see like all the early, me swinging the bat, missing sometimes, and then occasionally hitting a home run, right? So that's kind of how I do it now, but I have been looking to like, say I want to do like one post a day or something like that, and then actually plan ahead. Yeah. But it's really important with social for it to be contextual. So that's why I like the fact that, I mean, this today, I should be taking a picture of us and putting it up there. Right. But sometimes I just forget. I didn't even bring my phone here. So, you know what I mean? So it's like, sometimes you just don't, in the moment stuff doesn't happen, which is why you need to have something pre-planned. Yeah.
And so how many followers do you have approximately on Instagram right now?
I think like 150, 160.
And for Drumeo approximately?
On Instagram, I think it's Taylor, we do 600 and some? 630?
Close to that.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So you've got around 1/6 of the personal followers as your brand does.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of followers personally. Has Drumeo driven followers to Jared Falk? Or has Jared Falk driven followers to Drumeo? Or like, how do you think that's happened for you?
I think it's more, originally, when I used to have more followers than Drumeo on Instagram.
Yeah.
And Dave actually started we were like, we should go on Instagram. And he just quickly started the channel.
And so Dave is one of your instructors?
Yeah. And he's been here for like 12 or 13 years now.
Right.
So
yeah,
he's a part owner as well. So
okay.
he's like, he's very involved in the business, and
Yeah.
he's really done every job
Right.
here. But yeah, he started that. And so initially it was me saying, that we're doing a bunch of content there. You should go over there because I'm not going to be posting as much of like the Drumeo videos, meaning the other artist videos.
Yeah.
I'll do it occasionally, but I kind of let Drumeo do that, and then I just do my own creative stuff on my own channel. But that it definitely originally was me sending them there, and now it's like every time like Drumeo does a post of me, I get an influx of followers. I'm like, yay!
That's great.
But
does it make you feel good?
it makes me feel good.
Is this where your identity is really found now?
Yes, I'm validated, right? But I think the one-to-one, what do you call it? Like kind of like the marketplace. There's companies that do it now, like Take Lessons, and I think lessons.com, where you can just like find an instructor in your area or online and book something directly. And it's peer-reviewed instructions, so you know that they're good.
Right.
And so we're working on some stuff like that in the realm of content.
Yeah.
But
do you see AI coming into play or anything like that?
Yeah. In how people learn.
Yeah.
Drums is always hard because there's like there's electric kits, there's acoustic kits, and it's not like a keyboard where it's like it's the same.
Right.
So that's why you have more AI-based learning and stuff in that market. Same with in guitar because it's 6 strings.
Yeah.
And it's always the same.
Right.
But for us, I see we're in the OTT space, right? Which is over-the-top networks, and those are things like the top ones like Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime, and I see these sub niches becoming very, very dominant in their field. Eventually, I could see someone like Netflix saying to Drumeo, "We want all Drumeo stuff in Netflix for an annual licensing fee," and call that like a channel inside of there.
Yeah.
Or it's like they'll be able to. People will be able to subscribe for $2 more a month to get all of these like specific videos.
Yeah.
But for us, we're really, I really want to focus on higher and higher value content.
Yeah.
Meaning like right now it's a lot of like quick filming, like we're doing right here. But I want to do more bigger productions that live inside of our members area only.
What's a bigger production mean to you?
Like a year and a half ago, we wanted to do like a sitcom of musicians that followed the journey of this person who wanted to start a band. They look in the paper. Yeah. I want to be a drummer in a band. Yeah. So they go to a drum teacher.
Interesting.
Then they meet this potential piano player. And then you have the typical piano player character. But then you're rolling in education into more of like an entertainment character-based thing. So that's like one idea, right?
Interesting.
Where we could provide some higher end content that's not like Netflix, but it's going closer to that.
Yeah.
That's what'll separate us from like the YouTuber, which YouTubers are great, but I mean, I have an amazing production team that does short films, and we're getting all this amazing camera, and we're getting cinema grade cameras now, and so I want to shoot like high end productions.
You know, one piece of content that you guys created that I loved was you went behind the scenes with the drummer from Styx.
Todd Zuckerman.
You know, he was on tour, and you know what really stuck out in his mind? Where he hung his shirts. You know, he had a road case for his shirts. Yeah. And I always think about that. I'm like, that's interesting. I love that. I love knowing what was it like for a big band like that to go on tour. And where do you keep your clothes as a pro drummer? You know, like, I think that's super interesting. Yeah,
we have a series in Drumeo. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's called In Rhythm. Mm-hmm. Have you seen it? Yeah, it's filmed and directed by a guy named Bo Bocan, and he plays with the band Bless the Fall. He's a really, really successful lead singer of that band. He's got a couple 100,000 followers on Instagram and everything, but he is now kind of transitioning to be more of like a director, producer, and he went and followed. So one of the episodes is the why am I under what is it? Under Oath. Yeah, Aaron Gillespie from Under Oath, and followed a day in the life on a tour with him.
Right.
And you get to see like him talking, like FaceTime with his kids. You get to
Right.
see him going and getting a shirt before the show, the warm up. Then Bo gets on stage with them
Right.
that night. So we're doing a lot more of that type of higher value,
Yeah.
like behind the scenes.
That's great.
Yeah, it's cool.
I love that. I think it's really interesting as a musician to know like what is it like when you're at the top, you know. So one thing I've heard you talk about before, which I think is really fascinating, is your perspective on who your competition is. So how do you explain your competitions to someone who doesn't necessarily know the marketplace?
Yeah, like in the drum space, there are other education providers, and there's a lot of people doing great things. And I actually think the market is somewhat underserved in that, and that's to my next point, because I think we need, as an industry, in drums and piano, in music, need to sell music more. I was talking to my wife the other day, and it's like our kids aren't even in piano. Like,
Right.
You know, it's like.
And how old are they?
They're 9 and 7.
Right.
They should be doing an art and they should be doing a sport, in my opinion, when
Right.
it comes to like balancing and kind of exposing them to things. And so that's like a really poor job of the current education system getting them into music,
Right.
and it's our job to continue this art form if we want it to grow.
Yeah.
Because right now it's been somewhat stagnant.
Right.
So if we're not getting more drummers and all the companies are doing are fighting over the existing drummers, then we're not actually getting anywhere.
Yeah.
The industry as a whole isn't growing. Yeah. So I see our biggest competition as things that are taking away attention. Video games is the biggest.
Yeah.
So there needs to be a drumming video game. There needs to be a piano video game that's actually engaging. Right. That is like the gateway to them saying, I want a real piano, or I want a real drum set.
So I guess there was like Rock Band was a thing. Is that still a thing?
It is, but it was like the biggest period of growth we experienced in this current business.
Was when Rock Band was...
Yeah,
really?
and I remember it was like 2005 or 2006, or maybe 2007 actually, and we were like tracking, where are we getting all this traffic from? And then we tracked it back to Rock Band forums where people are saying, I'm so good at playing drums. I feel like I have a natural sense of rhythm.
Right.
I want to play real drums. Where should I go? And back then our brand was freedrumlessons.com.
Yeah.
And so everyone was just going to our website.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. So the competition is other things that take your attention, other activities.
Yes.
I also heard I think you talked about laziness or apathy as being part of the challenge of, overcoming becoming a drummer.
Totally, because people now are so used to getting instant gratification.
Yeah.
My kids, when they play a video game, they like if you go into a new video game, the onboarding sequence is basically designed to it's all based around brain chemistry, right? And triggering certain things and giving you shots of endorphins.
Yeah.
And so you get within 10 or 15 seconds, you open a door and it's like, wow, achievement unlocked, door opened.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you go and you fight some guy and it's like achievement unlocked, villain slain or whatever. And so it's quick. And this is why a lot of brands I'm hearing about are actually hiring what do they call them? They call them positivity coaches, where they go around their offices and stuff and say, good job, you're doing great. Giving regular feedback because people really respond well to that.
That's what a millennial needs, right?
Yeah, if it works, it works, right? But I think that's where that's what we need to do a better job of, is figuring out how do we get people those gains quicker.
Yeah.
And it's easy for us to say, and maybe I complain too much about it, but it's easy for me to say, oh, people are just lazy, people are just apathetic.
Yeah.
But that's establishing the problem. But when we think about the solution, it's up to me as an educator to make sure that they're not lazy, they're not bored, and they're not apathetic. My dad's actually part owner in this business.
Oh, really?
He bought half of my previous business partner's shares when we bought him out.
Right.
And so
that's
my dad's a part of this. And
is he involved strategically at all?
No, he's mostly a silent partner.
Yeah.
But I do consult him on bigger decisions.
He's an entrepreneur as well?
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah. That's great to be able to have that. I mean, you've kind of referenced a couple people in your life, like your father and Don, people that you look to for advice, which is great.
Totally.
Yeah.
You need that.
So have those people been formative in strategic decisions in growing the business?
Yeah. Yeah, my dad was the original one to say, oh, you need to buy real estate. And this was when we had a little bit of extra money, but not a lot. And so he's like, so you stop paying rent, get some real estate. You know, it hedges against the
Yeah.
other stuff, and so that's when we bought this building, and then we ended up buying more. And you know, it's nice to have like now we have like web properties, but we also have. I know you do properties as well, so I really like real estate. And my dad has been he owns real estate himself, and so he's been influential in that way and getting financing, doing that kind of stuff.
That's great. That's great. Well, it's been great chatting with you today.
Yeah,
I appreciate your time, and check out Drumeo, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.